Thank you for coming to my Monday night Q&A on the Spendthrift Trust. I'm going to switch over to my slide deck. I'm going to record this part and then I'll shut it off after we do that. So let's get over there. Oops, you don't want to see that. You want to see PowerPoint. I'm going to get to the slideshow in the beginning. So tonight I'm going to discuss the Spendthrift Trust. It is broken into two parts. We have the business trust for 1099 income earners, and then the beneficial trust is for investors. I'll go over both of them. If any questions come up, you can always stop and ask me about this. Again, 1099 is for the business trust, investments for others. Now, it doesn't matter which trust you have. You are going to save federal taxes year after year after year, generation after generation. You're going to keep your information 100% private. People who have LLCs, S Corps, and C Corps, those are statutory laws. So each state's a little bit different. And even if you have an attorney set up your LLC, you can do a Freedom of Information Act and find out who owns that LLC. So it's not private at all. And then last is you're going to pay no judgments when sued. This is an interesting statistic. If you're in Las Vegas Boulevard and you go 3 miles down Las Vegas Boulevard, you will see 18 different billboards for lawsuits. They say 1 in 3 people will be sued over their lifetime. And I'm a real estate investor, and they say 1 in 2 people will be sued over their lifetime. So I can't stop you from being sued, but you're not going to pay any judgment. So they will still sue you, the individual, but you'll be worth nothing. The old adage from Nelson Rockefeller, own nothing, control everything. This is what's going to happen with the trust. Now, the trust is very specialized. It is in the IRS Tax Code 643B, like Bravo. A little bit of history about the Spendthrift Trust. It does come from England, way back when King Henry VIII got in trouble for chopping off his wives' heads. He started a new church, the Church of England, so he could divorce his wives. He went to go tax the lords and ladies, and they went further back into history to the Magna Carta to say he could not do that. This trust has come from England to the colonies when we were still a colony as contract law. The law firm I work on behalf of, they have the patent on the trust. The patent is the Benson Financial Trust. And they also have a trust that they have inherited that is turning 350 years old this year. So this is long contract law. Most people do not realize the current the IRS only started in 1913 when we were going to enter World War II. It was supposed to be a temporary tax. It no longer is. And the rich families like the Rockefellers and others purposely set up this trust so it is in the 643 tax code so they can keep as much money as possible. Not making fun of CPAs. Most CPAs only work in the 300 and 400 level. That's what they learn in school at the big 6 firms, and everything else is 97% of the people file a 1040 tax return. When you have the Spendthrift Trust, either the business trust or the beneficial trust, you will file a 1041 tax return. There are special considerations for that. Now, both trusts have these 5 pillars. It's irrevocable, which means it goes from generation to generation. I originally found out about this trust because I read a book called What the Rockefellers Do. A gentleman in my real estate group, Garrett Gunderson, wrote the book. If you'd like a copy, he's changed the name to What the Billionaires Do. Just put your name in chat. I will send you a PDF copy of that. The Rockefellers Trust is 7 generations old, has almost 400 people under the same EIN. They all have their own individual bank accounts. They're not commingling bank accounts, but everyone has their own independent bank accounts, and that they can make this work. My trust right now, I have put in my 2 brothers, my 2 sister-in-laws, and 9 nieces and nephews. They're doing nothing in the trust. I purposely bought them silver coins, a silver coin like this, for Christmas and their birthdays, so they have something in the trust. Complex. This means this trust can hold money from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, decade to decade. 97% of the trusts in the United States every single year are what's called a family trust to avoid probate only. Once it goes through probate, my mom and dad had this. Susie Orman talks about this on PBS television. When I finish my dad's 2022 taxes, that trust is going to dissolve, and all the money in the trust is going to be divided between my two brothers and myself, and there'll be no more. This trust goes from generation to generation to generation. Discretionary. This means whoever is a trustee or trustees can make the rules for the beneficiaries. One of my clients, they have 5 apartment buildings in Los Angeles. Their only daughter is living in one apartment rent-free. She does have trouble with drugs and alcohol. They are requiring her to pass 4 random drug tests a month to stay in the apartment building, to live rent-free. She actually took her mom and dad to a federal court and sued them, saying this was unjust and unfair punishment. The judge saw it, and he said, you have 2 choices to make. Either you pass a drug test, or you move out and start paying rent in Los Angeles. And then he poured salt into her wounds and said, because this was a frivolous lawsuit, you're going to pay for your parents' legal fees. I do not want to be a fly at their Thanksgiving dinner. Non-grantor. This makes the trust 100% private. When you start the trust, you are going to have somebody who's not going to be a beneficiary, and probably someone who does not know what you're doing, like investments or anything else. They're going to sign up for the trust and sign away for the trust. When I started both the business trust and the beneficial trust back in 2020, I asked a family friend, Roy, he was 87 years old. I took him to lunch. He said, oh, I have no problem doing this. You do need their social security number. It was a bad decision on my part because Roy had to sign his name 17 times and he had arthritis of the hand. This is not a hard thing to do. If you're having difficulty finding someone to be your non-grantor, either myself or a representative from the law firm can do this very easily for you, and you will not, no charge or any fee for that. And then the 5th element is the Spendthrift Trust. This makes it an iron vault, so no creditors, no one can sue you, no creditors can come after you. If you're doing fraud, it could pierce the veil of the trust, but there's a certain president who does have this trust that I've been watching to see what's going to happen there. Now, I can legally say when you're a 1099 income earner, you can save at least 70% on your taxes. I have 3 businesses. I'm running out of the business Spendthrift Trust. I don't pay any state taxes, and I am saving at about between 91 to 92% on my federal taxes, but legally 70%. 1099 income earners could be anybody from a real estate agent. I have a life insurance contract. If you're selling online weight loss supplies, a brick and mortar store, I'm going to talk about a pizzeria in just a second, affiliate or MLM online marketing. You're going to save your federal taxes. The beneficial trust is for investors. I don't care if you're a passive investor, a real estate investor, crypto investor, crypto miner, stock market investor, options trading, day trading, futures trading, forex trading, silver, again with my silver, that's considered it's covered in the trust, and royalties. Please remember, royalties do include actors, actresses, songwriters, authors, NFTs, and mineral rights. Now, this is according to the IRS tax tip 200329. Almost everything you own and use for personal purpose, pleasure, or investment is a capital asset. My podcast is called Stop Paying Capital Gains Now with an exclamation mark. I have about 25 episodes out there. I should have named it something else, but I'm a real estate investor, and I started this trust because I didn't want to pay capital gains anymore. Now, for real estate investors, this trust is going to help you in several different ways. No capital gains, no interest income, no rental income, and it's going to keep you from paying any judgments. So whatever you're doing in real estate, I don't care if it's wholesaling, fix and flipping, auction houses, maybe you're a passive investor in a REIT, a real estate investment trust, maybe you're doing family investing, you're going to do away with all of that. Also, people always say you can do a 1031 exchange. There's a very specific timeline with a 1031 exchange. You have 45 days to find a third party who will do the 1031 exchange and pay them. Then 180 days to find like property for like property. One of the problems with a 1031 exchange is you must continue kicking the can down the street. As soon as it stops, whatever capital gains you were trying to avoid, the IRS will send you a bill. I have spoken to at least 10 adult children. Either the parents are incapacitated or the parents have passed away, where all of a sudden they get a bill from the IRS for something they didn't know their parents did back in 1990 or year 2000, saying that they have to pay capital gains. One of my clients, true client, Tom and Vera, I won't tell you their ages, but they're retired. Her CPA sent them to me. They had bought an auction house. She's a real estate agent down in Tampa. They had they fixed and flipped it for put an extra $100,000 into it, and then they were going to do a 1031 exchange. She didn't want to do the hassle. She knew she was going to make over $600,000 on this real estate deal in capital gains. She didn't want to do the hassle of doing this. Her CPA referred her to me. We got the house that they were looking at that they were going to sell for $1.2 million into the trust. When they sold the house, that $600,000 she made in capital gains, they were able to put it into a real estate investment trust that pays 12% interest every single month. I didn't know they had 7 other rental properties that they again wanted to get rid of, so they sold them all through the trust. Those were long-term capital gains. And so they sent me a picture April 1st. They were down in Florida. They were out on their lanai, their back porch. They were having a toast of mimosas, saying, we just made 12% on all of our money, and it's going to go. They're in their 70s. They have 2 children. And they have 6 grandchildren. What they're going to do is they're going to pass this money down to generation after generation. Now, I'm not trying to crow, but the way I found out about this trust was back in July of 2020. I took down a deal of the week. It was a contract for a bank-owned house in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It was a reverse mortgage owned by the bank. I paid $20,000 for it. It was supposed to go to auction excuse me, for $50,000. I'm going to make $30,000 in between that spread. I knew my personal capital gains is 24%. There's 7 different layers for short-term capital gains: interest income, dividend income, rental income. There's 7 different tax brackets. You'll have to. I have a figure of how much you make, which tax bracket you'll be in. I was at 24%. So at $30,000, I would pay over $710, $7,110 in capital gains. This was July of 2020, middle of COVID. We didn't know when COVID restrictions for the courthouses were going to be lifted. It took 13 months. Again, in my national real estate group, I was in the Phoenix chapter, but my national real estate group, one of our instructors, Garrett Gunderson, wrote a book called What the Rockefellers Do. I read it before I joined my real estate group. He also wrote a book called Sacred Cows. He had to change the name of the book. It's now called What Billionaires Do. But I went through it and I started, my background is competitive intelligence and insurance. I started calling people, researching on Google. I found the private law firm in Texas that has a patent on the Benson Financial Trust. I became their client, and then I became licensed to be able to sell this in my real estate group. So starting in September of 2020, I started doing a mastermind every Thursday night, 6 p.m. I did a mastermind to help other real estate investors save money. So my North Carolina Rocky Mountain property went to auction August 28th, 2021 at $50,000 and went up to $64,329. I saved over $10,550 on that first real estate deal, and then I continued to invest. I moved to North Carolina in March of 2020, March of 2022. I was the money on a fix and flip in Ottawa, Kansas. I put up the money to do it. We split the profit 50-50. So $78,242.05. the Monroe, one Monroe house and 2 Concord houses. I moved to North Carolina to do what's called upset bids. The Concord wholesale deal, which was $8,500, it was a mobile home that had EPA specifications on it because there was a hole in the roof and 2 holes in the ground, 2 holes in the baseboard of the mobile home, and it had asbestos. It was sitting on 2.5 acres from Concord to Charlotte. It was back taxes. I found a real estate investor, a developer, who knew how to take care of the EPA regulations in the mobile home, and he built 4 condos on that land. It was a win-win-win situation for all of us. So far, this is up to July of 31st, 2022. I've saved that money. I also invest in crypto. I stake 30% rate of return on a coin called Persistence. So for 24%, $300 in the first 8 months, I've saved $576 in capital gains. And I have a crypto bot. It's not it's doing okay, $38.76 about every day. I've saved an extra $1,395 on that. Dividend income. If you're in the stock market or if you're doing options trading, dividend income is between 10% to 37%, different tax brackets. Options trading, a year or less, it's 40%. Options trading more than a year, it's at 60% on your profits. You'll save both dividend income and options income with the Spendthrift Trust. Again, you're going to take out your losses, but you want to make profit, and that's what they're going to be taxing you on, is the profit. Forex investors, you're getting taxed twice: interest income and capital gains. Again, you're going to take out, subtract any negative. You're going to take out any losses, and then you're going to keep any of your winnings, and that's where you're going to get taxed on that. Royalties, authors, actors, musicians, playwrights, NFT, crypto, NFT artwork, NFT real estate. One of my clients inherited his granddad's horse farm in Oklahoma. On the horse farm, there are 6 oil wells. He's saving royalties on the oil, the mineral rights on that. Me selling the trust is also taken on that. Now, this is something, I was a Medicare broker when I started real estate investing back in 2018. I was getting calls probably once or twice a week about someone getting a nasty letter from the IRS for IRMA. That's income related adjustable amount for if you make too much money. If you make more than $91,000 in a year when you're on Medicare, you are going to pay more than, I want to say it's $166 from most people right now. What they're going to do, the IRS is going to look back in October and November to 2021 and pay attention to see how much you've made in interest income, capital gains, dividend income, rental income, and royalties, pensions, wages, 401k or IRA withdrawals, and Social Security. With this trust, you can keep, because the IRS will only look at 1040 tax returns. The trust files a 1041 tax return. So your capital gains, interest income, dividend income, rental income, royalties, and wages would be hidden from the IRS. I have a real estate investor, kind of a sad story. He went to a church social. He lives in Oregon. He went to a church social. Someone made deviled eggs. He loves deviled eggs. He ate 6 of them. They did not, the person who made the deviled eggs, I don't know how they contaminated the deviled eggs, but his kidneys shut down. He is on dialysis, kidney dialysis 3 times a week, and he does not want to lose his, he's only 52 years old right now. He's on Social Security, early Social Security. He has this trust and does all his real estate through the Spendthrift Trust. I really do believe the 6 inches between your ears is the most important, 6 inches. So several books that I really recommend to people. I do a newsletter bi-monthly, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. My great aunt Kitty in Ireland, she's got 10 children, and I don't know how many, they're my second cousins. She probably has about 80 second, all sorts of other grandchildren. She always would say, I need to sleep on it. She'd take a cat nap and think about it. And then this is how you can reach out to me, either at thetrustisyou.com. And then my podcast is Stop Paying Capital Gains Now. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording. So give me a second. Let me stop.